Okay. Sounds good. Good evening. Thank all of you for being here today. Today is March 4th, 2025. Our thought for today is the only limit of our realization of tomorrow will be our doubt of today. That's by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and officially call this meeting to order tonight. I'm going to ask tonight if, you know what, I'm going to do the invocation tonight, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Long if she would lead us in our pledge. Let's pray together. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for another opportunity, Lord, to come before your people and serve your people, Lord. We thank you now for what you have allowed us to see today and to endure today. Bless this community, Lord. We ask a special prayer for the Henderson family, God. We know they're going through a lot right now. We pray that a special blessing upon their family. And we just ask if you would, Lord, to bless this community and let it be what you would have it to be. In your son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner, I seek a motion that we approve the agenda, please. Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason? Aye. It passes 5-0. Thank you. I do want to, before I forget, I do want to inform everyone that Commissioner Mason is here tonight. He is here on the phone with us tonight. Commissioner Mason, can you please state your location as we ask you to do when you're out of town, please?
Absolutely. I am currently representing Newton County as the Vice Chair of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee at the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity we allow citizens to make comments about agenda topics only. You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record. Please, you have 3 minutes to do so. While you guys are coming, we also want to recognize this month as National Women's Month. And we salute all the ladies who are doing their things out here in our community and throughout the world. No, I don't have anything to report in the chairman's report. Mr. County Manager, have anything tonight?
No, I do not.
Thank you, sir. Next is the consent agenda. I seek a motion that we approve the consent agenda, please. Is there a second? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Lindsay. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. It passes 5-0.
Mr. Chair, good evening. The next item that we have on the agenda is under new business, item number 10. We're going to ask Ms. Terrie James to come up. She's going to do a presentation and/or a request of the Board of Commissioners for Juneteenth 2025.
Thank you,
we
ma'am.
also have Mr. Ken Malcolm, and we have Pastor Willie Davis also that will be assisting.
All right, thank you so much. Greetings.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Ken Malcolm. I'm the Director of Community Development or Downtown Development and Tourism for the City of Covington. One of the primary functions of our department is to work on community events, in the City of Covington, and we've done so for a number of years. We have over 65 events planned this year alone. One of the events that we're going to talk about, I'm here to talk about tonight, is the Juneteenth celebration to occur on June 14th of this year. And this would basically consist of a morning parade that we have hosted in Covington for a number of years now, a festival at Legion Field, followed by a concert in the band shell that night, and then finally a fireworks display. So this is a project that we have met with the Newton County Committee on Black Heritage Preservation, and also Newton County officials that we have sat in and we've worked through. We come up with a plan for the day. We come up with a budget for the event, and last night we presented this to the city council, mayor and city council. They did vote to approve funding a portion of 50% of the project budget that we'll talk about tonight. But I'd like to get Reverend Davis to talk a little bit more about the project and the budget tonight. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Just to talk about what Ken has talked about the Juneteenth celebration. I think last year this board, the commission board, allocated some funding along with the city to fund the event. The only difference this year is that the fireworks, the parade that morning, like Ken said, the fireworks with the events and activities that will lead up to the fireworks, which will climax the evening. We're planning on having activities, having a band and some other activities for children and adults. So what we're coming to before the commission tonight is to request some funding. I think if all of you have a copy of the budget that we went over, Chairman, with some of your committee people that we collaborate with in a meeting. And the only difference is there was a slight increase, I think about $2,500 from last year to this year, and the city last year approved about $11,200 that they were putting in. The other thing is it's the fiscal responsibility of accounting of funding. What we have agreed on is that all the invoices will go through the Ken Malcolm's office because they will be working together in collaboration on making the event occur. We're looking at the importance of the event. It's the significance of the event. This is a culture, it's a history of this country, and I think that we should continue to enlighten and give insight to it, that the community, we will acknowledge that historically these things happen. So we have been working with the city, and we worked with the committee that you sent over in collaboration to try to make this happen. At this time, I'll take any questions that you all might have.
I think I'm gonna get a motion on the floor first. I think I need to get a motion on the floor so we can open it up for discussion. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Edwards. Discussion. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. You know, I've been blessed to be on this board when the Juneteenth first celebration, and where we had kind of worked hard to get some funding to celebrate. And
Thank you.
I personally know a whole lot about Juneteenth celebration until Miss Terrie James schooled me on it. And it was about the peoples in Texas and the fact that they didn't know they had been freed until I think a year or 2 years later. But the good part about it is that now we can come together and have a celebration of knowing the past, but yet moving forward in the future. And I'm just proud of this moment. I was proud of when we first started recognizing Juneteenth Celebration Day. And this is something that's very historic. And I just like to just thank Ms. Terrie James, a living legend for this community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yes.
I think Commissioner Long had you first, and then we'll come back to you.
No problem.
Commissioner Long.
My button's always hidden over here. Great celebration. My concerns have always been what the city's concerns are is, I know there's always a discussion, and I probably don't know all the information about it, but is the county going to be assisting in the safety? I know that's the city down
Yes.
there, but I really want the county to start helping in that matter.
Yes, we normally collaborate in all the
Good.
events that we get with the sheriff and the chief of police.
Okay, good.
So we can make sure that safety, that's number one.
Yeah, I feel like
Safety
it's
is
for all
always-
the citizens of Newton
safety
County,
is-
so why should it just be the city?
Yes, it is inclusive of the whole county. It's the city and the county working together
Good.
to make this happen. Because we want this to be a festive event. We want it to be a community event that everyone comes out and celebrate. And one of the things that we're doing this year that we did different from last year, everything will be centered at Legion Field. Last year it was at Cousins. So what we don't want to do is from the parade to lose some folk. And we thought that, and I think your staff has been very instrumental in working with the tourism, with Ken and his staff, and that we will be able to, with weather permitting, to have the fireworks over around Fickwood School area that evening, so people don't travel from Geiger Street to Legion Field, that we won't lose so many people. Another thing is, if we do it at Cousins, we're in the center of a residential area, and logistically speaking, we didn't want that to happen. So we wanted to move it over.
Well,
And that's
I know Mr. Malcolm does a great job with all his
Yes.
events down there, but I want to make sure that we continue to have these and be safe with them. We've had
Yeah.
some things in the past that little things come up, but if we're not safe, then we're not going to be able to keep having them. So let's just make that be a priority too.
Yeah, and I've been working on with the tourism committee on 2 or 3 events that we've worked on, and that's always been the priority. That safety is number one.
Thank you, Commissioner Lindsay.
Thank you. I have a few questions because I have one budget that we had that we received earlier and another budget that we just were handed. And so I understand that the city voted yesterday for funds to be allocated for this event.
Yes.
How much did they award or allocate?
It's $11,200. But let me say this. Last year, Commissioner Lindsay, we did not do fireworks. Fireworks are inclusive in what they are doing, which is $7,500. So when you look at that, then there's other funding that we need to make this event, maximize the event. I mean, we're going to have the event, but we want to maximize the event.
So the fireworks are $7,500. My understanding, and I may be wrong,
Yes.
is that it's an in-kind. So it's already been allocated and it was left over from a prior event. Is that correct?
Yes, about 5 to 8 minutes. Am I right, Ken? You can address that.
Sorry, no, there is no budget for the fireworks as of yet. The fireworks occurred this past fiscal year, where we had a fireworks display out here for the lighting of the square, and then also for the 4th of July. Moving forward, our city council decided to the funds that were all $15,000 that was allocated for the lighting of the square is now been divided. So $7,500 will go to this year's lighting of the square. $7,500 worth of fireworks will go for the Juneteeth
I
celebration.
got you. So basically, it was already a line item that was allocated previously, and now it's just being reallocated to go toward Juneteenth?
Yes, ma'am, in the future, yes, ma'am.
All right. And then I have on this budget here, it says $22,700. That's the budget I was just handed. It says concerts and fireworks, but there are different items on this budget compared to the budget that we were previously given. So I'm looking at the budget that has $10,481.48. Do y'all have that in front of you?
I don't have that, ma'am.
Okay.
No, I have the one that's $22,700. That's this budget here. That's the only one
Okay.
that I have.
And the reason I'm asking is because I want to make sure that we are, and our motto has been to be fiscally responsible.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so it's important for us to really understand what is being allocated, because $22,700 is what we were just handed, but what we had earlier was $10,481. And considering that the line items on the one that's $10,481 does not match the items that are on the second one, it makes it seem like the budget is actually $32,000 or $33,000. So is it a combination of both of these budgets, or is it just one?
No, ma'am. The only budget we would like for you to consider is the $22,700. That's what was
Okay.
presented to City Council last night, and that's what we would
Okay, so I'm going
we'd
to
like
just,
for you to consider.
so I'm going to discard the budget that we previously were provided, and I'm going to focus on this one right here for $22,700. All right, the sound and production, is that because of the requirements of the amphitheater over there at Legion Field?
Yes, you
Okay.
need a production
Yeah.
company to provide the sound, to come off the stage and reach the people, in the audience.
And then the fireworks show, and then the band, that's $6,000, that's just a band that's going to be performing?
That's what we've allocated, yes, ma'am. That's kind of the average,
It is.
high average of what a band, the caliber that we would want to have for the Juneteenth celebration, that would be in line there.
And so the $22,700, you're asking for us to allocate 50% of that?
50%, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would like to know, I know that in the past, we've always compared the allocations for Juneteenth to the allocations for the 4th of July. And I think that, of course, me being an African-American woman, a black woman, Juneteenth is extremely important in my culture.
Right.
4th of July is nice too, but Juneteenth is extremely important. So with that being said, I know that with 4th of July, the individual that goes out, he actually goes out and fundraises for his budget. So I think at one point, fireworks for the city was about $70,000. I think the county gave $10,000, the city gave some, but he basically had to fundraise for the majority of the money.
Yes,
He's
ma'am.
hit me up several times for contributions. With that being said, what kind of fundraising efforts have you done or are you planning on doing for the Juneteenth parade? So it doesn't seem like it is 100% allocation from government, and you have buy-in as well.
Okay. We already have in place some plans to do like a taste of the South at Legion Field that would generate some funding. And from that, let me share this with you. From the last couple of years, what we're planning on doing is looking at what the allocations were and what the disbursements were for last year, this year, and then try to benchmark. So when we come back, we have something to look at that we benchmark, that we can say, well, this is what we need to budget. This is what we have. And I understand what you're saying. You're saying, well, we're doing this, but what are you all doing? And we do have some preliminary plans in place to generate some funding.
Okay. And as it relates to your involvement, Mr. Malcolm, in the parade or the celebration going forward, is it going to be that whatever monies that the county allocates, those monies are going to be paid to the city, and then you will in turn pay the invoices associated with the line items here?
We will offer an intergovernmental agreement to do that. If that's the the commissioners approve that, then yes, ma'am. We'll handle all invoices
Okay.
through our
We've
office.
been in discussion on it.
Is that a proper thing to do, Patrick, to do an intergovernmental agreement with something like this, or is it just casual?
We can do it either way. Given the speed and the amount of this, it might be more efficient just to pay that money to the city and let them deal with it.
Okay.
That's what we do with the
Homeless, the shelter, yeah.
fireworks.
And then lastly, as it relates to accountability, because, you know, I think we all want to make sure that when we allocate funds to any organization, that there's at least a level of accountability for where the funds have gone, to make sure that the funds are being spent on appropriate items. With that being said, what kind of measure are you putting in place, Mr. Malcolm, to give us back some kind of feedback or report to show that the monies that we've allocated for this celebration have been used appropriately?
I would come back, you know, and speak and show, you know, receipts and go over the event and you know, how we allocated, you know, all of the funds and provide the, you know, necessary paperwork. You know, we go through, you know, obviously an auditing process with the city, and we've just completed, you know, our audit, and our office completed a 2-year audit, so which is, you know, was a clean audit. So we follow, you know, standard procedures, and we'll make sure that we do so on this event.
So just to be clear, the level of accountability that we're referring to is not something that's going to be independent from the city, is the city's accountability structure that's going to be adhered to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's all I have.
Okay.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Malcolm and Captain Davis. I didn't have the $22,700 budget in my packet, but I did have the $10,481. So, and it looks like one of these budgets is a night of and one is the day of. So is the $22,700 inclusive of the smaller budget?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Let me explain how that happened. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. What happened with that, I think it was submitted by the African American Preservation, because when we met, we were looking at the budget, and we were kind of like streamlining and saying, you know, if we need to cut this out, we cut this out, and this is what we can live with. But the overall budget that we discussed with your staff is the $22,700.
Okay, so
and that's what we would like to, yeah.
The ask tonight is
Yes.
the 22.
Matter of fact, so what you'll see in the budget that we prepared through the collaboration is the bundle budget, where you see the production, you see all of that. Some of the stuff, some of the things are bundle.
Thank
The
you, Mr. Chairman.
secretary, she wrote up that second one that you all have, and that's why you have something different. But we met last night on the one that Ken and the pastor here is talking about. So that's the one we want to go with.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? All in favor? What?
Now, what is the ask? We just did a motion, but are we?
Oh. He made a motion to approve.
Yeah, my understanding it was a motion to approve the 50% funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So we need to, could that motion state the amount we're voting on, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Who
That's $11,350, half of it.
I'll be in the motion to reflect that.
sir, is there the second still the same? It was
350.
350.
Okay.
Are you still seconding it? Commissioner Edwards? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for all that you do, and on behalf of the committee, we thank you. And Commissioner Henderson, we have your family in our prayers.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson made the motion. Commissioner Edwards? No, Commissioner Edwards, second. Ms. Hampton?
Yes, Chairman. The next item we have on the agenda is item number 11. We have Mr. James Brown, Director of Water Resources, Interim County Manager. Water Resources is seeking approval of the joint resolution of Newton County, City of Covington, and Newton County Water and Sewerage Authority, One Water Resources Analysis.
You doing the water, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's you. I think it's you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
good evening, Commissioners and Chairman. This is a joint resolution for the Water Sewage Authority, City of Covington, and the Water Resource Department with Newton County. This is a long-term project plan, like a planning map for a long-term project for not only water, but sewer as well. So we had a meeting on September 30th, and we had a second meeting on October 21st to kind of go over the plan. So this is not only for upgrades, pipe installations, sewer capacity increases, long-term to 2075, along with the population projection.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I seek a motion, guys. Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any questions now? Any questions? Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Passes 5-0. Passes 5-0. Guys, we are slated to go into. We're gonna wait on yours. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do zoning. Yeah, we're slated to go into zoning, and it is actually 7:26. Shayna, if you would please come on up. I would hate to go into another discussion before we go into zoning because I know it could be quite lengthy. So if you would come on up, please. We actually have a couple of minutes here. Yeah, we can do the alcohol license, so let's do that. Let's do the alcohol license. Ms. Sam, let's do the alcohol license while Ms. Shayna's here up here.
Certainly.
You can stay.
That will be,
Stay.
that will be item number 13B, our alcohol license, final reading, Wadi Business LLC, Neighbors Market, 14656 Brown Bridge Road, Covington, Georgia, 30016, Sabudin, Sarsha, and it's in District 3.
Thank you. I seek a motion, please.
I move to approve the alcohol license for Wadi Business LLC, Neighborhoods Market.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been motioned by Commissioner Lindsay, and is there a second? Been second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am. Can you turn your mic on, please? Thank you.
Do we know if this business has had any infractions?
No, by the time they come to the board, they've already been cleared.
They've been cleared, no
yes.
infractions? Okay.
Anyone else? Shayna, where is exactly this located at?
What is the address, sir?
Brown Bridge Road? Okay. Okay. In District 3. Okay. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. It passes 5-0. Thank you. We was trying to prolong the time, and we have. So, Shayna, it's in your hands.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Our first petition this evening is rezoning. It's REZ 24-000006. There's a companion case, which was a flume, FLU 24-000002, and that was heard last fall before the Board of Commissioners. It is located at 1156 Woodlawn Road. It's on 17.12 acres, and they're only seeking to rezone 5.3 of the acres. The tax ID number is 0116004B. The future land use is rural residential, which was approved by the board last fall. The current zoning is A, agricultural, and they're proposing to rezone the 5.3 acres to a rural estate. It is in the Bear Creek watershed. Character area is low density rural residential. We're located in District 1, and owners Fred E. Hayes and Anna Almoglo, and our petitioner this evening is Tucker Marks. An applicant's intent, again, is to just rezone just the 5.3 acres in order to convey the property to a family member. And again, it's currently zoned A and located at 1156 Woodlawn Road and surrounded by other large agricultural single-family homes and properties. Just a brief history. On September 24th, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the Flume petition, FLU 02, which was to amend the flume from agricultural forestry to rural residential. And on November 5th, the board approved the same petition to amend the flume to rural residential. On February 25th of 2025, the Planning Commission recommended approval of this current petition to rezone by a vote of 3-0. And of course, it's located the character areas as mentioned before. Low-density rural residential, and you see rural residential is an acceptable land use, and an appropriate zoning is rural estate. And just for the side plan analysis, the applicant, they're proposing to rezone the 5.3 acres to convey to their family member. Staff found that the zoning is compatible with adjacent and surrounding properties, and given the existing zoning and development in the area, the proposed zoning may be appropriate for the area. And in conclusion, provided staff's recommended conditions are incorporated into the development of the site, the proposed rezoning to RE, or rural estate, for the 5.3 acres is consistent with the policies and intent of the comprehensive plan and with approved zonings in the area. The remaining acreage will meet the 10-acre minimum for the agricultural zoning, and the 5.3 acres proposed to be rezoned will meet the minimum 2-acre requirement for the Bear Creek watershed. Recommended conditions. Should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved rural estate, conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. 1, to the owner's agreement to the following: A, submit a minor plat subdividing the 5.3 acres from parcel 0116004B. And B, submit appropriate plans or plats to be reviewed and approved by the Development Services Department, Public Works, Newton County Fire Services, Newton County Water and Sewer Authority, Georgia Soil and Water Conservation, and GDOT as applicable. And we have the aerial of the entire approximate 17 acres. Currently zoned agriculture. They're going to the rural estate, which is a light green zonings in this just nearby, so it will be compatible. Current flume is rural residential. They're in the Bear Creek watershed, District 1. Low density, this is a low density rural residential character area. And of course, this is the plat they're looking at with the acreage they're taking out. And if there are any questions for staff, if not, Chairman, the applicant is here.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open up for our public hearing. For the applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight, you have 10 minutes to do so. You may come at this time. The applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight, you may come at this time. You have 10 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Tucker Marks.
Good evening.
Me and my family are wanting to purchase this land from our family to someday build on, to be around the rest of our family out in this area. And that's all I have to present.
Thank you, sir. We'll reserve the rest of your time. All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else would like to speak in favor tonight? We also allow 10 minutes for those that would like to oppose tonight. If you would like to oppose them tonight, you may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Would anyone like to oppose tonight? Would anyone like to oppose tonight? Would anyone like to oppose tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. I think this is in District 1. Ms. Applewhite, if you would, please come on back up. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This time I'd like to make a motion to approve rezoning request REZ 24000006 with staff recommendations.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is my neighborhood, so I have a rooted interest in how this turns out. This is essentially a family conveyance, a large piece of property, and they've waited quite a long time for this to happen. So I hope we can get it done for them tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Applewhite.
Thank you, Chairman. Our second petition this evening, this is a future land use map amendment. This was actually approved by the Planning Commission in February of this year, last week. However, due to very recent developments within the last 24 hours, staff is actually going to request to table this petition until May so that the applicant resolve a recent boundary issue that has arisen. And essentially, we have the neighbor to the west. He contacted us recently and indicated that his survey shows something different. So we would like to give the applicant an opportunity to review and respond and possibly update their plat as needed. Before we come back before the board.
Thank you. I think that's in District 2. Is that correct?
This is in District 2.
Commissioner Mason, was you able to hear that?
Yes, I was able to hear it. So they just want to table it until May, and they'll come back to us. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Can I get a motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we table case number, is it FLU 25-000001 until May, or the date stated by our planning and our development services director.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. It's been a motion by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Stand table. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Hampton.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we are reverting back to item number 12 for the Finance Department. Our Finance Director, Ms. Brittany White, will do a presentation for fiscal year 25 budget amendment.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. This budget amendment will be a mid-year budget amendment for FY25. So we just have a couple items, nothing too major. So the first one is going to address just storm-related costs for Public Works. We have had 3 major storms this year in this fiscal year. So we just need to increase their overtime budget by $60,000. Also, we need to do some increases within the probate and magistrate budgets for increases of cases this year. If you do recall, we kept all operational line items the same in the FY25 budget that we did the 24 budget. So nobody did receive increases they asked for. So we need to increase the professional services line item by $15,000, indigent defense by $10,000, the public official bond by $807, professional service in the magistrate by $15,000, maintenance agreements by $250, and postage by $5,000, and then general supplies by $4,000. So that total nets to $110,057. We are going to, in return, increase our interest income line item. We are trending a little bit higher than what we budgeted in interest income, so we're just going to increase the interest revenue line item and increase these expense line items. And then the last line is to move funding that we had set aside in FY24 in capital funds to purchase the building next to fire headquarters. That building was already purchased by the time we moved to purchase that, so we just want to look at moving the EEOC Center from that location over to the Public Works. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Gotta seek a motion, please. Thank you. Can I get a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? Commissioner Lindsay, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. Are all the departments, do they have a separate line item for overtime?
Yes.
Okay. And on this particular one is for $60,000?
So that budget was $35,000 originally, and so due to the storm-related costs, they have spent around $90,000, so we need to increase it to $95,000.
And just so that I'm clear, $60,000 was what was budgeted earlier?
No, the 35 was originally
sorry.
budgeted, and we're going to increase it by 60.
Okay, there you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
So now that overtime budget is $85,000?
For what? No.
So you had 35,000 in the budget, and you're increasing it 60.
So it'll be 95.
Okay. And then we're pulling these funds for this from where?
We've had more in interest income, so like where our money, you know, our fund balance and stuff sits, we've drawn more in interest than what we originally budgeted for.
So we're moving that money over to
Yes,
take
so
care.
we're just increasing that revenue.
Shifting expenses. Okay, and explain the 7,500, the building thing. Explain that again to me.
Okay, so last year we did a budget amendment to move money to the capital improvement fund to purchase a building next door to fire headquarters. So once we went to purchase that building, it had already been purchased by somebody else. So that was going to be an emergency operations center. So now we're just going to shift that funding over to Public Works to build that emergency operations center there.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
So, Brittany, quick question. I know I signed an emergency declaration for the storm. Is that money coming back from the federal government?
We did not apply, and Wendy can probably talk on this a little bit more, but we did not apply for FEMA or GEMA assistance for this storm because usually you're years out before you get reimbursed from FEMA, and there's a lot of paperwork. So we didn't have any major expenses in the storm other than overtime cost.
Okay. But the guys had to come back in and clear the roads and things like that. Okay, just want to make sure. Any more discussion, please? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Chairman, we have the next item, item number 14, resolution number R030425A. A resolution providing for the levy and collection of an annual ad valorem tax to provide funds for the payment of the principal of and interest on $30 million in aggregate principal amount of Newton County School District General Obligation Bonds, Series 2025.
Mr. Patrick.
Mr. Chairman, Board, as you are all aware, in May of 2024, the voters in Newton County approved an e-SPLOST, which is an education SPLOST, just like the SPLOST that you give to the voters to approve occasionally. It is a 1-cent sales tax. The e-SPLOST is utilized exclusively for education purposes, and just like your SPLOST, it's limited to capital expenditures. The e-SPLOST included a referendum authorizing $30 million in general obligation bonds, just like you typically do with your SPLOST. The Board of Education included authorization to borrow money, basically to advance those projects. You are the taxing authority in Newton County, and because those are general obligation bonds, just like your SPLOST bonds, we need you, we being the Board of Education. Board of Education needs you to approve a resolution stating that if SPLOST revenues are insufficient to service the debt, you will impose tax to sufficiently service that debt. That's what the voters asked for. The debt is a $30 million debt, and it will be paid out in semi-annual payments over the course of the SPLOST program. The payment schedule is attached to the resolution in your book. Mr. Will White is counsel for the school district. He's here to answer any questions about the SPLOST funds or the debt itself. But the resolution, this is a relatively routine resolution. You've done it before in the past. You do it on your SPLOST bonds. It's part of the package when we issue those bonds.
Good evening and welcome tonight. Good evening. Well, let's get a motion on the floor. Let's take a motion, please. Huh? Is there a motion? Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Lindsay. Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Patrick, this in no way obligates the county per se to repay anything. Is that correct?
The county government does not. What would happen is the school district would say, we need you to levy a tax in this amount. You would levy that tax. Tax commissioner would allocate the funds to the school district. School district would use those funds to pay the debt.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Commissioner Lindsay.
Okay, so you're a lawyer, And I'm hoping that you would be able to explain this to us as if we were in the 5th grade. Because I'm pretty sure that there are people out here that they're hearing this. And to be very honest, with all the issues going on with 581 and taxation, all we hear is $30 million, and that the county has to levy that money for the purpose of paying it off in the event that the school does not get the money in to do so. So just as a favor, to make sure that the community understands that fully, can you just explain it like an elementary school teacher?
So if you can stand a 5th grade civics lesson, sure.
Okay.
The way that this works is when, like Mr. Jogstetter said, when property tax bills go out, 60% of them go to the school system, 40% of them go to the county. The school system can only use their money in order to pay for school-related things, just like the county can only use their money to pay for county-related things. When, in addition to that, the state has given both the counties and the school systems the ability to raise more funds via the eSPLOST. And that is not property tax dollars, that is sales tax dollars. So it's the extra penny that goes on. And hopefully people who come by and, you know, buy gas, stay in the hotels, shop in our stores, eat in our restaurants, those are the ones that are footing the bill for this, which is why it is so popular and why the people of Newton County have passed this 6 times now. What we're talking about tonight is really what I call a backstop. So when you have bonds, they get sold on the open bond market, and so they're securities. And when you have a securities, the securities laws say that you have to put forth what's called an official statement, something that the bond readers can, or the bond investors can read, that says, all right, now I know where this money is going, I know how it's going to be repaid, I see what their credit ratio is, this is a good investment for me as a bond. What this does is helps the credibility of the school system by saying what the law already requires, and that is, if we come to the Board of Commissioners and say, you know, we're in apocalypse situation, we don't have SPLOST funds to cover this obligation, and of course the SPLOST is for probably 5 times more than the bond obligation is. But there's not SPLOST funds to cover our bond obligations. We need to levy a tax because we have to pay this money back. It's not a debt that the county takes on, but it is another debt that would require the county as the tax levying authority to levy the tax, because like we said at the beginning, we split the property taxes, but only the county commissioners can levy the tax. We have the say-so on what our millage rate is, but that's it. We can't say we're going to, Board of Education can't say we're going to levy a tax on our own. We have to come to the county commissioners to do that.
Okay. And so this is a $30 million bond resolution, but like you said, it's only in the event that, this only kicks in really in the event that there's no money generated in the eSPLOST.
This only gets kicked in, from a political standpoint, this only gets kicked in, you know, Mr. Jogstetter has been doing it a couple years longer than I am. He's a little bit older than I am. But he and I both been doing this for a while. I've never seen it happen. I don't know if Mr. Jogstetter has. I've never heard of it happening in the state of Georgia, knock on wood. But politically what would happen is any school system would would exhaust every other resource they have before they went back to the taxpayers and say, we got to raise taxes.
And Commissioner, perhaps to ease the board's mind, my recollection, I was just looking to see if I could find the number, but my recollection of the Newton County eSPLOST, it is anticipated over the course of the SPLOST to raise about $140 million, I think. And just like when you do your SPLOST, you borrow a certain amount of that money to get it up front, and you are required, that's the first money that you write checks for when your SPLOST revenue collections come in. So the first thing you do when SPLOST revenue collections come in is you service your debt, and that'll be the same, presumably with the Board of Education. I can't imagine any of the bondholders authorizing otherwise.
Yes, so a portion of it is to service the debt, and then a portion of it is to build athletic facilities.
Thank you. Anyone else? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. It passes 5-0.
Thank y'all.
Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This opportunity will allow citizens to make comments. You may comment this time. Please state your name and record for the agenda, please. For the record, please. Have 3 minutes to do so.
Good evening, Dave Norton, Newborn. Tonight we had 2 zoning issues before us. One was tabled. They were both to convey land to other family members. That's the type of growth I can get behind in Newton County. That's the type of people, in my opinion, that will take an interest in our counties, in our schools, in what happens here. Not to say that those that would live in apartments would not have an interest, but I feel that people who put down roots here, they would do a lot better job of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? That's great. I can't believe you said that. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Height challenged here. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Nita Thompson, and I am a resident of Newton County, District 4. And I'd like to get on your agenda to discuss an issue, concern that many people are unaware of, and perhaps some of you. I started this quest October 2024. I reached out to my commissioner, Henderson, who was gracious enough to have a conversation with me about my concerns and directed me immediately, after doing some research, to our clerk, Ms. Jackie Smith. I spoke with her and wanted to get in touch with the chair to present to the chair and the board. And she had the the county manager is the one who actually reached back out to me. After a period of time, we were able to connect. When I spoke with him, what he suggested was, because it was an election year and there might be new commissioners coming on board, just hold that and wait till the first of the year. Well, it is now March 4th, and I want to be put on the agenda to discuss an item that I think is very important. It is to me, and I think it would be to everybody else. And I will tell you that the topic that I want to talk about is the 10 county firehouses. So I would just like direction in terms of how do I get on the agenda. Please, would somebody tell me how to do that?
Thank you, ma'am. I'll talk to you after the meeting of what.
Okay, thank you.
Much. 10 county firehouses. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. We've had a couple of sessions on House Bill 581, and I believe we expressed in the meeting I sat in anyway, we expressed some, and I think everybody was in agreement, right, that we probably need a work session, an information work session on 581 when it becomes more apparent of what's going to happen in terms of communication with the public. I just don't want that to go away. We need that and a cheat sheet for the public going forward, so they'll know what to expect in their assessments, what to expect in their tax bill, what it's going to look like, how it's going to change. Because I can see a lot of emails and a lot of texts and a lot of phone calls coming my way, and I think we could head some of it off if we get ahead of that. So I know we're kind of on a tight time frame with 581. So if we could get that in the planning stages, I'd certainly appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Go ahead, Patrick.
So, Commissioner Edwards and Board, just so you know, my office is actively working with the tax assessor's office and the tax commissioner's office to put some information out on the county's website and other resources to address kind of those typical questions we're anticipating. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I think the idea is there's going to be some sort of frequently asked questions and things like that. So I'll make sure that you're updated on that as work progresses.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be rather brief as well. I just wanted to share with everybody, here in Washington, D.C., it has been an amazing opportunity to connect with other commissioners all across the United States, as well as being a part of a lot of the training here when it comes to upward mobility, when it comes to economic development, and as a vice chair of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee, we actually did some amazing work in this legislative session. There are some resolutions that we were able to get passed. Those resolutions will now be lobbied by the National Association of Counties to our U.S. legislators to try to get those things passed. And so when I get back at our next meeting, I'll make sure that I get an opportunity to periodically begin to highlight some of those resolutions that the committee that I sit on from a national perspective are really doing our best to move forward so that we can help our residents on a local level. I also got an opportunity to go over to the Capitol building, got a chance to meet with Congressman David Scott's team, and trying to get more resources for our community. Got some connections from Senator Warnock's office, Senator Ossoff's office as well, to make sure that we can get some resources down here in Newton County. So great legislative session, and look forward to, in the future, providing you all with some follow-up information about the information that I received from this legislative session. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lindsay.
I will say that Stan stole a little bit, well, Commissioner Edwards stole a little bit of my thunder in terms of talking about 581. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that the community was aware of is that in the course of us talking about 581 and us trying to do the 3 meetings, not for the purpose of opting out, but for the purpose of educating the community, well, we didn't do that because it didn't seem like the community wanted that. But I think it's very important for the community to know that there's a lot of information that you need to pay attention to. One of the things that we were pushing was that with 581, even though we knew that we were going to be in 581, we thought we had a good out, and that good out was the FLOST. Because we talked about the FLOST, a lot of people really didn't know what it was, but what it allowed for us to do was to utilize a sales tax to get in some taxation that was not going to be affected by your property tax. And so in order for us to do that, all of the cities had to opt in. And unfortunately, Social Circle and Oxford opted out of 581. And because they opted out of 581, at this point, we're not going to be able to engage in the FLOST. So I say all that because everybody hears the news and everybody knows what's going on with the federal government and the big cuts that are done in the federal government. We already had a local organization that reached out and said, hey, our federal funding has officially been cut. So we're going to be asking you guys for more money. Well, the bottom line is this. Budget season is going to be tough, y'all. It's going to have to be. That's to everybody. And we need to be realistic about what's about to happen, because now that we don't have the FLOST that we can rely on, and we are all hearing what everybody's talking about with cutting these taxes or tax relief, be mindful of that. Because we talked about the millage rate possibly going up, and I like to be the kind of person that kind of gives you the news up front so you're not surprised by it later on. I just want to put that out there for y'all to kind of contemplate and start looking at it. So when the information gets on the website, like Patrick has just said, please educate yourself on what's going on. Because a lot of people in the community don't have a trust of government. They don't believe what we're saying. You know, we can tell them all day long that we're working hard to address your taxes. They don't hear that. They want to talk all this other stuff. Educate yourself on what's going on so that when we start making these decisions in the budget time, and when we start making this decision about millage rate, y'all will know why those decisions are made. But I want to reiterate that Social Circle and the City of Oxford have opted out of 581, which means that we will not be able to engage in the FLOST. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for your prayers. And well, first of all, thank God for sparing my son. It was very tragic, this accident. But there was a lot of people who came over and hugged me and talked good. And they said, well, we want to do something for you, JC. I said, well, yeah, I appreciate it. They said, what can we do? I said, pray. Pray for my family, pray for my son, so that God can help us get over this little rough spot that we're going through right about now. And they showed up and they showed out, and I thank you. I just want to say something about what HB 581. You can't spend more money. You can't spend the more you have. I mean, it's all they talk about. So we're going to have to raise the millage rate. You raise the millage rate because you want more money. But just spend what we have in our government. People will understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long.
Amen, Commissioner Henderson. I feel the same way about the money. We're going to tighten our belts just like everybody does at their house right now. I don't know how y'all are living, but we're all living tight right now. I'm coming to my fellow commissioners in the next couple of weeks. I am going to be the official trash lady. So I just want to let y'all know I'm on a trash crusade in this county, and I am reading all the ordinances that we have on trash, and Patrick, I'll be getting with you. But, you know, I have driven around the county, and if you see a lady stopping, picking up Burma shade signs on the side of the road that are not supposed to be there, that's going to be me. They're in the back of my Jeep if you want them. But this county is trashy. I mean, I've just had enough of it. This week, I went into one of our businesses, and it was so trashy, and it was so messed up inside, you couldn't even walk down the aisles. Our county interim manager over there is doing a great job. Our fire department, our chief, they shut the business down for me on Friday afternoon because it was a fire hazard. If somebody was in that building and the building caught on fire, they could not get out of that building. I could barely get out of the building, and I can walk very well. So those are important to me. The company came in, they got the building straightened out, and they got back open on Saturday evening. There's so much trash around their building. I want to start something where we make all the business owners accountable for their businesses. It is in our ordinance now that they are accountable, but we have a lot of businesses that are not picking up trash around their businesses. They're blowing all over the street. They're blowing down Highway 11. They're blowing everywhere. And then you have some people that are doing a fantastic job of it. So I'm going to reach out to Clean and Beautiful. I already have once. They haven't reached back, but I'm going to reach out again. And, you know, try to do everything we can to get our county cleaned up and be proactive about the situations that we have. And thank you, James. I've had a lot of requests this week, and you've reached out to every single one of the citizens in District 5 and helped them out, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Long. But I want to make sure we say that they shut them down because they was in violation of fire code. Thank you. All right. Hey guys, we do have the need for executive session tonight. We may take a vote, so you can hang around. Hopefully it won't take long. But I need a motion that we move into executive session tonight. Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Long and second by Commissioner Edwards. All in favor?
What's it for?
I'm sorry, for personnel. All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 4-0. We stand. okay with that? You good with that? James? Commissioner Mason?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We are now back out of executive session. I need a motion that we move back into our regular scheduled meeting, please. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Edwards. All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. We're back in our meeting. Mr. Jockstetter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to ask the board to consider a motion to amend the agenda to add 2 items. Item number 1 will be a motion regarding the employment status of Mr. Harold Cooper, and item number 2 will be a motion to designate Mr. James Brown as interim county manager and provide him a salary supplement.
Thank you. Can I get that made into a motion, please?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Lindsay. Mr. Jockstetter, can you repeat that one more time for the record, please?
A motion regarding the employment status of Mr. Harold Cooper and a motion to designate Mr. James Brown as interim county attorney and provide for an appropriate salary supplement.
No, county manager. County manager.
Interim county manager.
Hey, guys, come on. We're in a
Thank
public
you.
meeting.
Is it interim or is it the position?
No, it's interim. Yeah. Yep.
Interim county manager. I'm trying. Yes, it has.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Lindsay.
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Passes 5-0. Mr. Jockstetter, now.
Ready? So the first item to be addressed, Mr. Chair and Board, is the matter of Mr. Harold Cooper's employment status with the county. I would recommend that you consider a motion to disengage from Mr. Cooper and pursuant to county policy and the terms of his employment contract to pay to him the balance of his employment contract.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Lindsay and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, first of all, per our discussion that we've had, I agree with the board's decision as being a district commissioner. I don't agree with the pay, but nevertheless to enable to disengage. I got it right, Stephanie. Disengage Mr. Cooper. I concur.
Thank you, sir. Any more discussion? All in favor?
I have some discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Mason have discussion. Go ahead, sir.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say this is a sad situation, and it was a tough decision for all of us. And per the policy, we have to make this tough decision. And so I just wanted to add that for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Calling for the vote. All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It passes 4-1. Mr. Jockstetter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to try to get it right this time. The next item would be a motion to formally designate Mr. James Brown as interim county manager and to provide for him an annual salary supplement of $16,995, which will be paid on a prorated basis during the term of his service as interim county manager.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards, second by Commissioner Lindsay, and I think third by Commissioner Henderson. Any discussion? Any discussion? Commissioner Long.
that's the first I've heard of this, so I just didn't know why we didn't have other discussions about this. And not that I disagree totally that Mr. Brown is doing a great job, but I don't know where that number's coming from. We're paying someone out, and now we're paying another salary. So I would have liked to have more discussion on it. That, you know, I'm not saying I'm against it, because I think he's awesome and he's worth every bit of it, but I think that should be more discussion instead of just thrown on us without any notice whatsoever. I didn't have any notice.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Mason?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It passes 4-1. I think that's all we have tonight, guys. I seek a motion that we adjourn. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Long. Any discussion? We stand adjourned. Thank you so much. 5-0. I heard you, Commissioner Mason. We said aye.